Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Gemini in April 2020. Hello, Gemini. How are you guys doing? I hope you are doing well. All right, friends. Welcome to April. How's everything? Where I am in the world, things are still a little bit hectic with this COVID-19 coronavirus situation we're all living under, or not all of us, but many of us across several countries or hundreds of countries actually. So if you're affected in any type of way, I hope you and your family are doing well, your loved ones are doing well. Godspeed to you. I will send out my positive vibes towards the collective as much as I can. And if you are affected, you do have my condolences and my sympathy. Hopefully not. Hopefully you and everybody that you know is well. And that is what I am wishing for everybody, is that we see the end of this thing very soon, but also hopefully it's done safely. So if I'm doing my part of being in the house for almost consecutively 3 weeks, come Friday, it'll be 3 weeks that I've been home. I've gone out 2 or 3 times to the grocery store. That's it. So if I can do it, you can do it. And I say that being like a couch potato, so maybe you're not like me. Anyway, guys, let's get into it. Gemini, I have shuffled off camera. That is your main spread there. I'm going to shuffle on camera now for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all of the cards are out and they're lying face up on the table, that's when the reading begins. Timestamp is in the description box if you want to jump ahead. Also down there is all the information you will need if you want to get a personal reading with me. Simply follow the steps, but if you have any questions before you place an order, go ahead and email me at the same address. And if you've noticed at the top, if you were looking at the screen, I have joined Instagram, and I'm doing some tarot readings over there. Well, more appropriately, I'm pulling oracle cards on Instagram. So if you want to follow me over there, I'm going to pop a little graphic down here just in case you missed it at the top. It is EmpathicFire Tarot over on Instagram. If you want to hop over there and give me a follow, that'd be cool. And that's, again, I'm pulling daily oracle cards, doing intuitive readings on them. And it's just something fun to do that keeps me nimble because I really don't do tarot for the collective out here on YouTube except for maybe 2 or 3 times a month, So that's that. Let's go ahead and get into it. Gemini. Let me see Gemini's outcome for April, please. Gemini's outcome in April 2020, please show me. Ay, Dios mío, come on. All right. Bottom of the deck is the overall energy. All right, that goes there like that. So it shall be. All right, and let's flip what came face down. All right. And let's get into it. Let me see what's going on for you. Show me where Gemini is in April 2020. Excuse me. Please show me where Gemini is in April 2020. Please show me. Okay, that's 2. I just want 1. Please show me Gemini in April 2020. Okay, thank you. We got it. Okay, that's good. That's good. Gemini, coming in, you come in with the energy of the 10 of Cups. So, hey there. Dreams coming true? If I'm honest, of the readings I've been doing of late, this is coming out really strong on a positive vibe, which is good. And you might have your reasons, but ultimately, when we get to the 10 of Cups, we're seeing the culmination point of something. We're seeing, like I said, dreams coming true for you. So this could be regarding a family situation. Traditionally, in the 10 of Cups, you'll see a family of 4 standing beneath a rainbow, similar to this, but in this deck you see 2 maidens or 2 women. So maybe that's, your dream come true for some of you, Gemini. Maybe some of you are stepping into a gay relationship, and that might be the first time you're doing that in your life, and you're living your truth, and I support that. That's totally cool. But aside from that being a possibility, I get the sense that the security of your family, the security of your friends, the security of the people that you value most in your life, those who are closest to you, those who have a special place in your heart, is at the center of your actions, or at the center of your consciousness, or what you're aware of, what you're thinking about. There you go. Okay, there it is. I'm like, I didn't want to, shit on your parade, and I'm still not doing that. But, to have this be the card that you start with, considering the general temperature or the general atmosphere that the entire world is under, or most of the world is under, considering everything that's going on with COVID-19, it's kind of odd to me. But I'm seeing the connection here. So in the middle of crisis, in the middle of upheaval or confusion, or in some places or in some circumstances, possible panic, the core of what you value, or the core of what is important to you, are your loved ones, okay? And if you're not super close with anyone in your family, again, this could be the family that you created in your life, your friends, your coworkers. You could be one of the wonderful workers in the medical field, working on the front line. You could be a nurse, you could be a doctor, you could be an EMT, firefighter, policeman, all of that, right? You could be out there serving your community, serving your well, not really your country, but your community and your local cities and towns and everything like that, right? So, well, and I'm going to take it a step back. You could be serving your country because the military, in some aspects, are also having to step up, or also coming in and providing services to citizens. So I will extend that also to serving your country. So regardless of whether or not you're actually in any of those fields professionally, I just get this sense, Gemini, that you're really like tender-hearted right now, and that's somewhat of a surprise, because maybe you're surprised by it. Maybe some of you, and I hate to, put it in these terms, but, when situations get tough, that's when you really start to recognize or give acknowledgement to the people that you value most, right? I hate for it to, nobody wishes for circumstances like this to come about, a pandemic that would show to us, or be the motivator for other people to show to us, or for us to show to other people how we care about them. But that is usually one of the byproducts when there is a crisis that either affects a specific family or a specific group of people, or like I've been saying for the past couple of minutes, the entire world, right? So I think maybe you or someone around you is kind of having this sad realization that it took this much, or it took this crisis, it took this situation and circumstance to really get me or get someone else to realize what they truly value here, in terms of relationships, in terms of, family, friends, et cetera, right? So there is this feeling of, I don't want to say there's a feeling of safety, but there is a mindfulness of safety, of security, of expressing love and affection, pardon the phrasing, before it's too late. I'm not sensing anything dire here. I'm not sensing, for the bulk of people that are connecting with this message, that are going to resonate with it, I'm not sensing, anything tragic. But people often get in those mindsets, or they become concerned of the possibilities of, not having time, not having the opportunity. And given that many of us are on quarantine, that could speak to you being physically separated, beyond social distancing. Like maybe you can't even travel to see your family, right? So let's say you live in Kentucky and some of your relatives live in, South Carolina or Florida or Maine or wherever, right? And, I feel much of the travel in the country, especially air travel, is shut down. As far as driving across state lines, I don't know if that's good. I'm sure it's happening, but it might not be feasible, because if you did want to go visit your family, there's still this whole, well, you still got to stay apart. You still got to quarantine yourself, especially like for those who are up on the news as of late. Anybody coming to or leaving from New York City, there's an automatic 14-day quarantine in a lot of places. Oh, you're coming in from New York? All right, well, we'll see you in 2 weeks. And, then you can be reunited with your friends and your family. So there is this, really, it's like a wake up call, or like smelling coffee. What's that? Wake up and smell the coffee, that old saying, that I feel is happening for you or someone around you, where it's just like, boom, waking up to this idea of, oh my God, I value that person, or I value these people, and I need to speak to them. I need to talk to them. I'm not sensing it here, but maybe there is some uh, semblance of burying the hatchet, or making apologies, or making amends, maybe. But ultimately, I think, coming into your reading, that aspect of long-standing affinity for people is at the core of you, or is in the forefront of your mind, let's say. Okay? So that's interesting. Now, what else happens? So yeah, it's okay. So many of you, that's in the forefront of your mind, but it's not, tangible. It's not something that it's not, simply put, the quarantine or lockdowns, or, God forbid, anyone that may be hospitalized at this time, may have contracted the virus, all of that, right? There is a blockade surrounding this emotion that you have. I don't think you're blocking it out, or maybe you are. I don't know. Maybe maybe some of you are having to have like a stiff upper lip kind of situation. You have to be strong for everybody else around you, maybe. Um, but what I'm sensing is somebody who, Four of Swords, thank you. Four of Swords above your starting position. Come on now with the focus. Thank you. Do it. There you go. Four of Swords above your starting position. This feels like somebody who is having to be strong, even though they kind of just want to take a rest. This is day in, day out, for a lot of people, a harsh reality. Many of us are home from work, or some of us are not able to work. Some of us have been laid off. Some of us are going to work, like those first responders and, those who work in hospitals and whatnot. And there is just this fatigue that is going around collectively. There is some semblance or some form of fatigue or tiredness or frustration and exhaustion that we're all experiencing in our own ways. And what I sense for many of you Geminis is like pushing through this. When you get the Four of Swords, it is advisable to take rest. It is advisable to reflect and, slow it down and really not necessarily reconfigure, but certainly don't push past your limits, right? When you get to the Four of Swords, it's not pushing past the limits. However, I feel as though many of you are, in order to save face, in order to not appear weak, or to appear as if you have, no care in the world. There is something where you're being called to task, either on a very personal level within your family. You might have to step up and take care of things in a way that you didn't expect to, or in your professional life. Those who are on the front lines aside, you could be working more hours because half of the staff wherever you work, half of the employees were let go of, but business still has to continue. And so you might be picking up extra shifts, picking up extra hours. You're working from I know for many people, not for me, because, I kind of have a good life in this way. And it's not, and I don't say that to brag or anything, because it's not a brag. It's just the truth. I think a lot of people who have children, especially because you do have that 10 of Cups right below, right? So again, the 10 of Cups can talk about happy family, right? Happy family, happy life, right? And so if you're a parent and your children are home, 2 kids, 3 kids, 6 kids, 8 kids, I don't know how many you have, and maybe you're a single parent, or even if you are co-parenting, or you have a spouse or some other adult in the house that can help you, having all your children home at once, like, in this modern day and age, there aren't many of us that are prepared for that workload of I'm teleworking, but then my kids are also home and they have schoolwork to do, but they can't do it on their own because they're in elementary school, right? So I have to go in there and help them with their lessons and make sure that they're paying attention and do all this other kind of stuff. And it's a lot to juggle at one time. This whole thing, if I'm honest, was coming down the pipe in a lot of readings that I was doing a couple of months. I mean, it's not predictive, but it's just like the stress of things has come all at once, and it's growing exponentially, right? And in a domestic situation, Gemini, I feel as though you need a break, but you can't take a break. And you don't want to show anybody else that you actually need or want a break. So there's this, like I said, this stiff upper lip kind of energy where you're not going to let them see you sweat, your children, your husband, your wife, your partner. You're not going to let your bosses who, that you're on video conference with. How's it going, Gemini? How's everything at home? Oh, it's good. Everything's great. We're all adjusting. And like on the side of you is like your hand on a whiskey glass. And you're like, yeah, everything's good. Everything's fine. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just like, and this is not particular to Gemini. This is particular to many signs or many people that I've been reading for. It is a hell of an adjustment. It's pushing people to a lot of their limits, and it's bringing out a lot of subtle issues or subterranean issues that were not recognized before. And I think it's good, I should say I like. It feels like a conscious effort of you trying to err on the side of positivity. A lot of people are erring on the side of despair, erring on the side of anxiety and depression. Yours so far, that 10 of Cups is like super strong. And maybe that's also kind of why it is, because it's involving external people, the 10 of Cups, your children, your extended family, your immediate family. If you have no children, your pets, for God's sakes. There's something about the attention being paid to the people outside of you that gives you more energy, that gives you more gumption, or gives you more drive to be successful or to make the best out of a bad situation, right? So you want to rest with the Four of Swords, but you really can't rest. And maybe it's going to take a turn because I see some complications here. I see that you have the greatest intentions, but the situation at hand is greater possibly than some of you than your own free will. Ooh, that's a deep one. The situation at hand is greater than your own free will. For some of you, that will apply. And I don't know, like, that's like super deep, and that's for like a handful of people, like off to the side, like, I don't know what that means, but they want me to repeat that one more time. For some of you, the situation at hand is greater than your free will. And I think that kind of applies to everybody, but like that really is supposed to connect with like a handful of people in a deep way that I can't even, okay. So I'm going to back off of that because I'm not supposed to explore it. I'm really just supposed to go into this. So happy family, happy life, but needing a little bit of a break, trying not to let anybody see you sweat, trying not to reveal that it's a bit of a struggle. And I think you might be there's like, okay, Eight of Swords right next to that Four of Swords position. This is feeling like, when it's all said and done, Gemini, I think this is you kind of looking back at what you did. Like this is possibly, a while off, weeks or months away, or this is slowly starting to crop up for some of you right now. I think that you're judging yourself super harshly, or you feel super judged by other people because you're trying your best. You're trying to, acclimate to the new way of life for, the next few, like I said, weeks or months ahead, right? And you feel as though you might be dropping the ball. You're concerned that you haven't done enough. You're concerned that you weren't on top of something before you were not on top of something in a timely fashion, right? So if you kind of saw, let's say you saw from the county over or the state over that kids were being pulled out of school, like 3 weeks ago, and you're like, I don't think it's going to be that bad. No. And you didn't prepare, right? So you weren't prepared for the kids to all come home, on one day after school, and that was it. And so there wasn't enough food in the house. The laundry wasn't done, whatever you're judging yourself for. you weren't expected. And as you're doing this work, if you're working from home or you're continuing to work out in the field, whatever, out in public or whatever it is, there's this feeling with this Eight of Swords of, I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing it right, or I don't, or in some cases, especially for those where, again, you're working in the front lines, I don't have enough resources, right? So if you're working in the medical field, you might have a super duper big time, rightly so, big time concern over PPE and the N95 masks, and just making it so that you're doing your job and you're treating patients and you're trying to help people, but you're also making sure that you're safe, So there's this concern of, I'm not able to do it right, or I didn't do it in time, or I'm playing catch up, trying to get on top of issues that are surrounding the house. This could, even though you don't have any pentacles on the board, this could in some cases still talk about your finances, because that is definitely a stressor for plenty of people, whether you're working or not. If you have a two-parent household, or a household with 3 adults that contribute, but 2 lose their job, and now all the money that's coming in is coming from one person, that's not enough. That's not enough to sustain the house, right? So there is a bit of a panic, or a bit of anxiety that is building up in you as this thing prolongs, as this thing continues, right? So this Eight of Swords, like I said, your free will, what you can do about the situation, how effective you are, the situation at hand is a little bit bigger than that. And so I guess what they want me to tell you is, be careful about blaming yourself, or be careful about, taking that burden on and saying, I failed, I did this, I didn't do enough. Be easy on yourself, because again, what can you do? A massive pandemic that affected the economic futures or the economic stability of one nation or several nations, right? It affects the healthcare system, right? Puts a strain on that. It affects the education system, right? It affects people being able to, it just affects everything all at once. How could any one individual, arguably, how could one individual do too much to curtail all of that at one time? Maybe, certain aspects could have been mitigated in your personal life. Like I said, if you saw, reports coming across the TV, or, across your phone, such and such county shuts down schools, this state shuts down schools, and you're sitting wherever you are in the world thinking, should I really prepare my kids to come home from school? And that's, again, it's no fault of your own, because at least over here in the States, a lot of media wasn't really taking this too seriously at the end of, from the middle to the end of March. It didn't really get too serious, or excuse me, February, my bad, February. By mid-March, then it was serious. But by then it was kind of too late in a lot of cases, because, people were being told, oh, it's not this, it's confined to these countries, it hasn't hit the United States yet, la 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 la. And what do we see now? Practically the majority of the countries in the world have been affected by this in some form or fashion. And if not for social distancing, if not for, quarantine, this would get worse. So, we're all dealing with it in as the news develops, right? So you kind of putting the blame on yourself, or other people putting the blame on you. Well, you should have done this, Gemini, and you should have done that. And it's kind of like, I didn't even know. The media, the news said this, and then the next day, oh, it's actually this, you know what I mean? So there has been a lot of catch up that everybody has to do. Everybody has to do. It's not just you, Gemini, okay? So what else happens? We have, okay, this is good. You're still hopeful. Good. You're the first sign out of you're only the third sign that I'm doing the April readings for, but I recently did the mids, and the mids were very rough. The mid-Marches were very rough for everybody, just about. But you're the first sign that is coming out with hope. Star card. Major Arcana for Aquarius, so some of you could be dealing with Aquarius, but you don't have to be. Here we go. Hope, healing. Another card that signals to resting. So, if it could be down to just physical resting, make sure you get enough sleep. Make sure you're, with this big body of water that you see on the card here, this woman, down, well, she's not bathing, but she's playing around in the water, I guess. But make sure that you're hydrated, yeah? Make sure that you're taking care of your physical hygiene beyond just washing your hands, You're at home. be on top of your hygiene, even though you're not going anywhere, you know? But there's this sense of like, when we get to the star, it is a spiritual card in the sense of like, this could be a conversation you have, while you're praying at night, if you pray, or a conversation you have with your own personal guides, or your whoever you pray to, whatever you believe in or don't believe in. This could be you journaling and kind of processing your understanding of the situation that way. This is conscious, concerted effort on your part to make sense of what's going on. And yes, and then get a more balanced, healthier perspective in place. Yeah. Again, not beating yourself up. So long as you're not one of those people, and again, I don't know why this happened, but, whatever. But, initially when this news broke, a lot of people were in grocery stores, throwing elbows, shoving people, getting really rowdy and aggressive over toilet paper, right? And, those people who did that, if you were one of them, you had your reasons, I assume, but, that didn't really have a great perspective, you know what I mean? And I take for granted, I only live with one other person. Our toilet paper issue is pretty secure. But I guess with a family of 4, 5, or 6 or more, maybe, the cottonelle really needs to be piled up high in the cart. Maybe. But, all jokes aside, or this is about, now that we're in it, now that we see, some semblance of what we can expect, how do we handle it? How do we persevere through this? The star is about perseverance. It is about, like I said, asking for help from above. If you believe in something, if you don't, just go ahead and, ask friends, ask family. This is a rallying energy. Very interesting. This is a rallying energy for you today, Gemini. And, it's hopeful. Like I said, the star isn't, it's not an energy, it's not a card that has the answers, but it does provide some semblance of something to kind of hold on to, or something to aspire to. There we go. Thank you. So, I don't know what your situation is. I don't know what your specifics are. And this feels like, for some of you, it's family. For some of you, this is work. For some of you, this might be a personal development thing. This might be, coming to grips or trying to understand, I mean, a lot of people have been saying this, and I'll throw it out there because, it's a possibility that a lot of people who have prioritized material things, and you don't have a material thing the first here on your board, so that's why I'm kind of like about talking about it, but gotta play the odds, gotta play towards the probability that some of you have this experience where some people in the community, in the collective, are talking about how this moment in time is a chance for us to reflect on our material presence here on Earth. How do we show up as a species, as a collective of humans, as a collective of spirits, and how do we interact with our world in a physical way, right? So, and then, that trickles on into economics, that trickles into the environment, that trickles into how we interact with each other, or how we have disconnected from each other, ironically, disconnected with each other due to technology, which is now actually keeping us connected, right? We're actually using FaceTime, and we're using, Zoom, and we're using Twitter and all these things with actual intent to connect. Whereas, weeks ago it was memes, this, frivolous, just like garbage shit all over the place. Now, if you're calling someone, you sincerely want to see their face because you haven't seen their face in 2-3 weeks, right? So this got it. That's Aquarian energy also is here. That's why I'm on this rant about this, because again, in the collective, there's this consideration that what we have focused on materially as a species, as a people, has been so off track for the past however long, possibly decades, possibly centuries, right? And now here comes this potential course correction for some of us. That is here for some Geminis. Your course correction is maybe in your life previously, Gemini, you prioritize the 10 of Pentacles, let's say, just as an example, right? Now it comes that you want to prioritize or think more consciously and put more effort towards the 10 of cups, which is what I told you, happy family, connections with the people that you know and love, living and being communal with other people, right? And that can be exhausting, or that can be off-putting because you're not familiar with it. So you're kind of like, it's kind of like a sucker punch, like the universe, Mother Nature has given you a sucker punch with this COVID-19 thing and having to be in quarantine and having to be isolated and removed from other people. And then you judge yourself harshly, possibly some of you, not all of you, but you judge yourself, or you feel your hands are tied in this situation and you can't be as effective as you wish you were. You can't step up to the plate as you wish you could, because you do want to make these connections, because you do want to solidify very grounded and loving commitments and connections with people. But ironically, you can't step, closer than 6 feet with another human being right now, right? So the star is that kind of, or more specifically, the elements that I'm referring to is really more relative to the Aquarian side of the star card, because again, Aquarius is associated with the star card. Aquarian energy is quite revolutionary, and it happens in a very unsuspecting way, or a very off the cuff kind of way. It's radical. It's radical that it's a pandemic that is going to bring people closer together. In theory, this is a possibility, right? Whether or not you're on board with that, I don't know, but that's there within the star card. The irony of being separated and being forced apart, being forced to isolate, being forced to reflect, being forced to spend hours, days, weeks confined to one space, confined to either your own self if you live alone, or a certain amount of people, and then kind of evaluating what is the quality of your life. What do you want after this? That's what the star is asking you. What do you want to do? What do you want to see after this all is done? That's weeks, possibly months from now. There's plenty of time for you, for her, for everybody involved to get in their head, get their wishes out. Some people will call it a cosmic order when you talk to the universe, when you talk to God, and you start to, begin practices of manifestation. Get your cosmic order in line, Gemini. What do you want for yourself? If you feel you've dropped the ball as a parent, you weren't ready to handle all your children at home at once, or you weren't ready to handle this financial crisis that has crunched your family, or put your family in a tight spot, what do you do coming out of that? If you are financially secure and you're financially, able to take care of yourself, but some of you are living alone. Some of you are not close with friends or family. And in this time, you feel very secure, you feel very safe, but you're not connected. With that 10 of Pentacles or 10 of Cups, you want that emotional connection. How do you get that? Cosmic order. Put it in. Yeah? That's interesting. So what happens next? Right. These are both very positive. Like I said, you've had the most positive reading thus far. Yeah. They're like, you fool. Duh. Here you go. So what happens is you get the 9 of Cups. Basically what I just said. Wish fulfillment. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get all your wishes. This isn't like Aladdin. There's no magic lamp to rub or anything like that. But what did I just say about cosmic orders and in relation to the star card? It's about wishes. It's about, what do you desire? What do you want to see develop in your life or come down the pike for you? And what's going to make you happy? For some of you, it is going to center, like I said, around this 10 of Cups energy, really reconnecting or connecting for the first time, possibly in a more authentic way with people that you know and love. For some of you, that's the first time you've ever considered that, or you might be estranged from certain people, and I'm not sensing like huge reunions, but you might consider reaching out to people that you haven't spoken to in a while, right? Because going back to here, I think it was when I started talking, the 10 of Cups, how some of you might have this feeling or this mindset of before it's too late. And again, I'm not making any predictions. I don't feel this in the reading thus far about anyone passing away, but that is a possibility considering we are in a pandemic, considering we are nowhere close to having a vaccine. And, there's a lot still to be done. So in the meantime, between now and whenever a vaccine is developed and distributed, what have you, right? Between now and then, some of you might get it in your head or get it in your heart that, oh man, I want to reach out to so-and-so, or I need to talk to this person, or I need to see this person again because I don't know what's going on with them, or I don't know what's going to happen with me, or I don't know what's going to happen with, our uncle or between our mother. You might be estranged from your own siblings. You know what I mean? So there is this wish to get to a place of more happiness, more peace, more camaraderie between you and other people, to be fulfilled from an emotional standpoint. You have the 9 and the 10 of cups here. These are super strong. And, if I'm honest, they're stronger than anything that was going on with the swords. The swords, as is the way with tarot, is really all in your mind, Gemini. This feeling tired. I mean, you might be physically tired. Yes, that's true. But giving into, or not giving into, but trying to fight off exhaustion and feeling trapped by your own judgments, like that can be combated. This is stronger. Your cups energy is stronger in your reading today. So I don't know what this is. Like, some of you are really like feeling like a SOB. Like, you're really like trashing yourself. And I get the sense that in order to get away from trashing yourself, or feeling that other people are trashing you, or whatever it is, you need to commune with people. You need to connect with people. Some of you, again, this possible reaching out to someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Oh, that's interesting. This is not for cross promotion, but they want to remind me that in the first no communication series that I did last year in 2009, like in September or something like that, here on this channel, Gemini had the highest views for people not in communication with Gemini. You had like over 5,000 views on that video or something like that. And they're reminding me why I'm saying reunion when I don't have cards of reunion here. Really, I really don't. There's nothing here that speaks to specifically speaks to reunion. However, it's in your energy. Hence, I'm an empathic person. So I can feel it even if it's not here. So that 9 of cups might be a wish for you and someone that you haven't spoken to in a long, 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 long time to now speak again, to make amends, to reconnect because of the uncertainty of the situation. Beyond just the virus, there are many ways in which people can perish or can be affected at this time. Like I said, there's a financial crunch, an economic crunch going on for many people in many regards, right? There is a mental health crush that's really going to affect a lot of people in positive and negative ways, right? So there is this desire for you to do something, or to be able to reconnect in a way with people that you know, that, again, put it in as your cosmic order. Put it out to the universe. This is what I want. I want to talk to my aunt. I want to talk to my brother. I miss my best friend. I miss, communicating with my mother. Whoever it is. Put it out there. Maybe you need to reach out. Maybe you need to, maybe you need to initiate that action. Ace of Wands. This is action. This is movement. This is taking an idea and putting legs up under it and making it work in the real world, right? Taking actual physical steps to do it. Now, again, because we're under quarantine, most of the people that not that I know, but most of us, or many of us, are under quarantine. So I'm not saying go knock on their door. No, please continue social distancing. Keep that protocol up until quarantine is lifted. But this, again, in the right underneath the star, which, Gemini, number one, you're the third house, which embodies technology. But then Aquarius also touches on technology a little bit too. But regardless, you have the means to reach these people. If you haven't seen someone in a long time, again, don't visit them, but go ahead. Hit them up on Facebook. Hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. How are you? See if maybe you deleted their number. Maybe ask a common friend. Hey, do you still have the number of so-and-so? I wanted to reach out to them. You know what I mean? This is you, or whoever I'm talking to, This is that an ignition point with the Ace of Wands. Putting it out there. Throwing the line, casting a line out into the water. See if somebody's going to bite. And not in a vicious way, not in a malicious way, not in a way to be manipulative. I really feel genuinely, whoever is meant to connect with this, you genuinely want to have these connections with these people. Look at this entire line. Ace of Wands, 10 of Cups, and the 9 of Cups. That, to me, speaks very sincerely about what you want. You want to be close to someone. Whether you know them from your past, whether you guys have had a recent falling out, whether you are living in the same house as them. You know, that's the other thing. Some of you maybe have had a domestic situation that was strained before this pandemic. A lot of people have, not just you, Gemini, but a lot of people have had this, where you and your partner, you know, you've been together for so long, everything just kind of became systematic. It just became clockwork. They do this, I do that. We see each other this day. We might go out on a date like twice a month, blah, blah, blah. Now that you're forced to be together, do you want that reignition? That spark back in your marriage, that spark back in your commitment? Some of you are like, yes, I do. Some of you are like, I don't know. Or the other person is like, I don't know. But the connection, the desire to be honest, to be open here and here with the 9 and 10 of Cups, that is very genuine to me. And I keep getting this feeling of feeling shocked about this, that this is unexpected from you, or unexpected from the other person, or unexpected, period. Interesting. Anything else with the Ace of Wands? Some of you, this will be a physical reconnection with your spouse or whoever you're partnered with, that you actually live with or you spend, quality time with. Some of you, this will be a physical reconnection in terms of sex. Blatantly honest with the Ace of Wands. It is possibly the most phallic card the Tower can be phallic too. But it's a very phallic card. It's a very sexually charged energy for some of you. So there is a potential for you guys to, be careful with that. They're like, be careful. So be careful about getting into or substituting, substituting a physical reconnection, a sexual reconnection with a person, as you guys are now best of buds, or now you guys are reunited in a very authentically loving way. Sex and love are not the same thing. Okay. I don't think I have to tell most adults that, but just for some of you out there, don't be fooled. Sex can fill a lot of time. A lot of people just go to sex because they're bored, or they go to physical contact because, it's something to do. It doesn't necessarily mean, for those who are on the fence in a relationship, or you've had issues in a relationship, that sex is going to fix it. Be careful. Okay. Now, your outcome. Ooh, 5 of Wands. All right. All right. All right. So for some of you, the potential to make amends with a person might not be met graciously by the other side. You might have your friends tell you it's a bad idea, especially if we're talking about an ex. Be careful. I know a lot of people are tempted, but be careful with that. Because you might miss them. You might, want to tell them things that you never told them while you were dating, while you were in a relationship together, whatever. And your friends are just like, no, I don't think that's a good idea, Gemini. I put the phone down, put it down, and they can't do anything because they're in their apartment and you're in your own apartment, and they're yelling at you over over Skype. Don't call him. And you call this person anyway. So this 5 of Wands could just be that. It could be people disagreeing with the way in which you're approaching the situation, the way in which you're trying to make the best out of this whole situation, right? This could be infighting in terms of within the house. This could be you and your husband, or you and your wife and the kids. You're all getting on each other's nerves. Tensions are high. People are climbing the walls. The weather gets nicer, and all you can do is look at it from the stoop of your house or the porch, and you can't go anywhere. So this could be what this is about. It's a 5, so it's short-lived. It's often petty. It's often fights over nothing. or fighting and disagreement, because again, tensions are high and people are high strung and everybody just needs a release, and the best way to do that is to get into a little fight. Some people are into that energy. This might, you might jump at this opportunity, but I feel as an outcome, and in general, the Five of Wands is short-lived. It can be overcome. It doesn't have to be an energy that you feed into. But the other side of it, like I was saying at the start, was people might disagree with what you're doing or how you're doing it, so be cautious. You can rise to the occasion and push back on that and engage in that, or you can just let it be and make up your own decision or make up your own mind. I don't know. Overall energy for April for you, Gemini, is the Two of Swords. So I get the sense that there is, oh, well, okay. I think this might be speaking to, yeah, like I was saying earlier about some of you who here in the Eight of Swords and the Four of Swords, how you're judging yourself, how you're reluctant to show vulnerability or show that you're tired, show that you're frustrated, whatever, right? This could be related to the overall energy of the Two of Swords, because this is someone who refuses to see. This is someone who doesn't want to admit to or come to terms with or make decisions regarding a certain situation, right? So with this Two of Swords, it may be signaling to what was happening before what we talked about in the majority of your spread. I'd be cautious of allowing this energy to persist. Like I said, you have a chance with the Star and the Nine of Cups to kind of change your mindset and kind of reset the bar, so to speak, in your spiritual life, in your path, so to speak. And again, that's not even just specific to Geminis, that's globally, as all of us are given the same opportunity just about to reset some things here. So I'd be cautious of, during the reset, going back to or rely or falling back into this Two of Swords state of mind, or this Two of Swords way of behaving, right? Where again, it's like, I'm not paying attention to this, or I'm not really, that's the other thing about the Two of Swords. It's like inaction, or it's like slow to act. Again, for those who were reading reports, but due to the tone of maybe what you were hearing in the news, you didn't take it seriously, and now you're like, a couple of days behind. And I mean, in general, that's what they're saying about America, at least, and other countries too, that we weren't proactive enough, we weren't prepared enough, and therefore, that curve was rising a little faster than it needed to if we were prepared. So it could speak to something like that, where you feel you were not prepared, or someone tells you weren't prepared, and that was kind of the energy you were operating in, or that's how other people were viewing you with the Two of Swords, okay? Gemini, that is your reading for April. If you liked it, the like button is down below. Hit it for me, why don't you? But you don't have to. You can do whatever you want. But if you did like it, go ahead and hit the like button for me. If you want to leave a comment, let me know how this reading resonated in your life. I'd love to read that. Please share the video if you've got nothing but time on your hands, and your friend does too. Feel free to share. Let them know that you like my stuff. And if you have not subscribed, Gemini, please go ahead and subscribe. Again, I'm over on Instagram at EmpathicFire Tarot if you want to join me over there as well. I will be back soon, Gemini, to do the mid-Aprils, and then the Mays after that, and then later in May I'll do your is it May? Yeah at the at the tail end of May, you're going to get your birthday reading. So you got a lot of stuff to look forward to from me here on the channel. And again, if you want to subscribe and show your support to the channel, please do so. And if you do want that reading, it is down in the description box, okay? All right, thank you so much for watching my video today, Gemini. I really do appreciate it. Take care.